It's the Scorpions right here from the Blackout release with Dynamite. Apparently got a good reaction there in the chat room, Chris.
It's a perfect album, dude. It's the lone perfect album in the Scorpions catalog to me.
Yeah. The Scorpions kick ass. I mean, you know, obviously they're hanging on, you know, supposedly on their farewell tour after 3 years.
Farewell that never ends.
Yeah. You know, I had both Matthias Jabs and Klaus Meine here on the show when they, shortly after they announced that, quote unquote, that they were calling it a day.
Yeah.
And both of them kind of denied it, saying that it was their manager's idea.
Right.
And that it would last 3 years. But we're beyond that 3-year mark, and they're still doing shit. So,
do you want to have Klaus back on the show?
Sure, let's have him on.
All right. That means I got to reach out to somebody we don't like, but
who?
I don't want to say on the air.
All right, well, whatever. But
the publicist is somebody I don't necessarily get along.
Well, regardless of that, you know, the thing is just like if you still enjoy doing what you're doing and you still can do it, why do you got to call it a day?
I don't know why they needed to go out on their closing tour. Sting of the Tail, I mean, it's not a great album, but it wasn't terrible.
No, but my point is that everybody goes through this whole thing saying, oh, okay, well, you know, do you think Motley Crue is really going to call it a day?
If we're lucky.
No, regardless of your personal feelings on it.
Yeah.
Do you really think they're going to call it a day?
Well, I think that they don't like each. I think with those guys, they don't like each other.
Well, they haven't liked each other in 15 or 20 years, but that hadn't stopped them. I mean, when did Motley Crue come back, per se? 2001?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So we're into the 12th or 13th year of them coming back or getting back together with the original lineup, and they haven't liked each other since that time, but they've been able to ride that out for the last 13 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be done or not, and personally, I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, they've already retired, because I'm not going to see them anymore, and I'm not buying any more records.
Yeah, but the thing is that do you think any one of the members, any one of them, regardless if it's Vince or Nikki or Mick or Tommy, can do anything that's profitable enough to maintain their lifestyle?
There is Methods of Mayhem.
Yeah, please.
I think Six can. I hate to say it because I think he's the biggest piece of shit of the four. But I think between his books and 6 a.m., I think he can maintain his lifestyle. I absolutely do think he can. But I think he is the next Bret Michaels.
Okay, well, all right, but think about it. Who's the most out of the three? If you said they were irresponsible and reckless with their lifestyle and their money, who would you say?
Who's the most reckless?
Yeah, out of that four.
Wow, I would say the most responsible has got to probably be Mick. That's a guess. I would say at least between Vince and Tommy. Wow. I mean, Vince at least invests in some shit. I guess Tommy, because what does Tommy do?
Well, I was gonna say Vince only because, you know, he's a well-known, you know, alcoholic and kind of a douche.
Yeah.
And that guy is always selling himself out for, you know, pennies on a dollar.
Yeah.
On his own.
But he does own like a couple of restaurants.
I think he just lends his name to it. I don't really think he owns it. I just think he puts his name to it.
He's got to get paid.
I'm sure he does, but it's not enough to maintain his lifestyle.
I mean, as opposed to Tommy, though, what does Tommy do?
That's a good question.
Tommy doesn't do shit.
I agree.
Tommy plays drums in Motley Crue.
Right.
Puts out records no one buys.
Sure.
They go in Tommy land right now.
Right.
Other than Tim James.
Helen Kill Caller, you're on the air. Hello. Oh, they're gone. All right. But anyway, you know, I'm just, again, between Tommy and Vince, that is a good toss-up.
Yeah.
I think Vince whores himself out more. I don't really think, again, I don't know, but I'm just assuming that when it comes to a venture where there's a bar or restaurant, I think Vince just more or less lends his name to it. I don't really think he personally gets involved with it.
But I think Vince is going to have the easiest time continuing on.
Yeah, because he's the front man.
Yeah, I mean, he'll still make $15,000 a night every night.
Well, I know before he rejoined Motley Crue,
yeah,
he was taking $8,000 a night.
Yeah, but now he's gonna, dude. If Jeff Tate can get 15 to 20, as it was reported this week on, in the story about they're working on their settlement.
Mm-hmm.
If Jeff Tate can still pull 15 to 20, certainly Vince Neil can.
Yeah, now he can because he's raised his profile again. But
Sure.
but when Motley wasn't doing anything.
Oh yeah,
Vince was taking $8,000 a night.
So even $8,000 a night, though, if you play 5 nights a week, it's $40,000 a week.
Yeah, Vince doesn't play 5 nights a week.
Sure, he does. He only sings at 2.5 of them when you count all the words. So, 2.5 of the 5 gigs. So, good.
Sure, but I think Vince, again, not knowing. Tommy, obviously he's gone off and done a lot of, he did the whole Methods of Mayhem, and he's done that reality show and various other things. So yeah, he doesn't have a lot going on.
See, to me, Tommy and Vince are equals, except Vince has a couple of businesses, at least with his name on them. I mean, think about it. They both did reality TV. They both did solo records that didn't sell. And Vince has some clubs or something, a strip club and a
restaurant bar.
Restaurant, yeah.
Yeah. And they never last long, though. That's the thing. He opens them up. They last for a couple of years. I mean, he had like that Dr. Feelgoods.
Right.
And then he had like some kind of a tattoo parlor, and then he had some other kind of a club, and they've all closed up, you know, after just a couple of years, and then something else reopens under the Vince Neil moniker, the Motley Crue moniker.
Maybe he'll open a driving school.
But everything that Motley has done as a band basically has been on the Nikki Sixx tunes.
Yeah.
But Vince has capitalized on that because he's part of the entity.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I definitely think the other guys are going to need it. But I don't think Nicky's going to, and Nicky is Motley Crue.
That part is true.
So why would he go back and do it, to work with a bunch of dicks that he doesn't like?
Well, I do know that, Vince and Tommy don't like each other.
Sure.
But the other three, I think, can get along. Oh,
you think that's where the problem is?
It is. It's definitely Tommy and Vince.
Oh, I always thought that it was Nicky and Tommy.
No, it's Vince and Tommy.
I did not know that.
They can't get along. So, last I had heard, and this has been a while, but I don't think anything has changed.
Yeah.
That Vince travels separately from the rest of the band.
It's a good work environment.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I know this only personally because Vince's tour manager, his name is Jack Carson.
Okay.
And he tour managed, you probably remember this. This was way back in 2000. It was either 2000 or I think it was 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Carson, remember that Waldo guy?
Sure.
That was,
found Janie. Did I misspeak?
He
found
was
Janie.
Yeah, no, nobody found him. The hotel people found Janie Lane, but supposedly Waldo, who's been tour manager, he's kind of a goofy guy. I mean, I kind of know this guy a little bit, but he's tour managed with Dokken, and he tour managed with Great White, and he tour managed with Warrant. And he tour managed with Janie Lane solo.
Right.
Don fired him from the 2000 tour when they were on tour with Poison back, 2000. When it was Dokken, Cinderella, Poison. What was it? Poison, Slaughter, Dokken and Cinderella. That's what it was.
Cool.
So he fired him, and they brought his management sent this guy out. His name is Jack Carson. He's a Englishman.
Right.
And, the guy was kind of a dick, to be honest with you.
Who, Waldo?
No. Jack Carson.
Jack Carson?
And he's Vince's personal tour manager.
Okay.
And apparently, this comes from, Don telling me stories, but apparently, ever since Motley Crue got back together,
yeah,
Vince has his own personal tour manager and his own management. And then the rest of the band has their own management, and then Vince's like dressing room and stuff is like on the opposite side of the arena, whatever it is that they're playing.
Wow.
And then he rides in his own tour bus and stuff, so they don't even, tour together. They just he comes out on one side of the stage and the rest of the band comes out just to kind of keep the peace. So they just kind of stay away from each other more or less.
Sounds like Van Halen.
Yeah, kind of.
We just saw that up close and personal.
Yeah, David Lee Roth had his own full trailer by himself, and then the rest of the band had their own trailer.
His own bathroom.
Yeah, his own porta potty.
That was funny.
Yeah, exactly. So in order to keep the peace, you have to keep separate.
I guess.
Okay, we can tolerate each other for about 90 minutes or so on the stage, but outside of that, got nothing to do with each other.
6 figures a night, I can fucking stand in the same place as you fucks, but other than that, I'm out of here.
Yep.
Jesus.
That's no lie.
It's horrible.
It is. But that is the case.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yep. Well, anyway, I did just play the Scorpions Dynamite, and apparently the Demon kind of clued me in on this.
Yeah.
That apparently the Scorpions are going to re-release the Blackout.
Really?
And it's going to have like bonus tracks and some demo tracks and stuff like that. Shh. Bonus tracks. Yep, exactly.
Nice.
And as you know, our good friend and your employer, Don Dokken,
yeah,
got his start in the business, or in the big time, as it were, through the help of Dieter Dierks, who was a producer at the time.
Yeah.
By bringing him to Germany to sing some of the backing vocals for the Scorpions for the Blackout release, because Klaus Meine was suffering some vocal problems.
Right, which is amazing when you hear that record that he had vocal problems on that.
Right. And I guess this new re-release, remastered version of Blackout is going to include the demos with Don singing.
Oh, really?
That's what I understand.
No shit. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I personally don't have that yet, obviously, because it's not released yet.
Mm-hmm.
But when it, gets released, obviously we'll probably have it and maybe play it, or maybe even get Don on the phone, because Don has told us these stories about, how he got involved with the business.
Sure.
Where he and his band, this was prior to having Mick Brown or George Lynch or Jeff Pilson involved, but Dieter Dierks, saw Don playing with his band at the Whiskey.
Okay.
And he basically took Don to Germany.
Right.
Because he was producing the Scorpions release.
Okay.
And said that Klaus was having some vocal difficulties and he liked Don's vibrato. Wow. And took him over there to, do some vocals and backing vocals and whatnot. But apparently, Klaus recovered.
Right.
But the recordings are available and they're going to release them, I guess, as part of the package.
Okay.
Yep.
I had not heard that, but okay.
So that's what I understand. So anyway, Don got his start in the business because for his cooperation with the Scorpions, Don traded out his quote unquote his services for some studio time.
Okay. And
he recorded a few songs which were shopped to Carrera Records.
Oh yeah! Wow, old school.
Yep. And that's how he got the Don Dokken band.
Oh, no kidding.
This was prior to Mick Brown and George Lynch, and
that's Greg Leone and
yeah.
And was Juan in that? Juan Curcio?
Well, that's when he put the band together,
right?
Before Jeff Pilson,
right? Sure.
So I guess they're going to release those demo songs that Don sang for the Blackout release.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I personally have not heard that, so I have not heard those releases.
Yeah,
but I guess
Don doesn't have a copy of it.
Yeah, I bet she doesn't.
Guy doesn't have a copy of fucking Broken Bones.
No. The whole Dokken catalog I gave to him, so
he has nothing.
He has nothing.
No. So funny, dude, and you know this. One of the things I'm working on is getting Solitary released on digital.
Okay.
The Dokken solo record, Solitary.
Sure.
So Don and I talked about it and how we're going to do it and whatever, and there'll actually be news on that. I'm hoping this week it'll be released and I can announce where. But anyway, in any event, so I was talking to Don about putting it out, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a good idea, blah 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 blah." And I said, "Well, can you send me, the files so that I can do a good rip?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't have that."
Okay.
What? I was like, "Well, who does?" He's like, "Ask Wendell."
Yeah, he asked me because he always has everything.
I know. So I asked you, and you, of course, had it.
Of course, I had it, right.
But it was like, I was like, damn, really?
Yeah.
I can't ask the guy that's putting out a solo record of his own work?
No, of course not.
Why would he have it?
Sure. According to Demon, I was misspoken here. They said that it won't feature the Don stuff.
Well, does Blackout feature Don?
Well, that's when they brought him in to do some of the backing vocals and stuff.
So he is on the backing vocals?
Apparently he is.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
Right.
I knew that he worked with it, but I didn't know that he was actually on it.
That was the whole reason, he even got involved, was because of his vibrato was very similar to Klaus.
Okay.
And Dieter Dierks heard that and said, I need to bring you over to Germany and you got to do some vocals for the Scorpions in exchange for your time and your efforts. I'll give you some studio time.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And that's how he basically launched the popular version of Dokken.
Right. And Don. So we're just going to say that Don made the Scorpions popular. Because they weren't really that big before that.
Yeah, right.
And it was all Don.
Sure.
Think about it. Did Animal Magnetism sell nearly as much as Blackout?
No.
Of course not. And what's the difference?
Because Don was on there.
Don was on it.
Right.
So I think everything past that, the live one, whatever that was called, Worldwide Live.
Or Love It for Sting.
That's all Don.
Yeah, right.
Don did it. This guy should be paying Don royalties.
Yeah. That's funny. Don would tell you to ask me if I've got his recordings.
He did.
Yeah.
Ask you.
Yeah, ask him. Yeah, he's got it in 320, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
But for those that do want that Solitary, it will be released on a major chain.
A major chain?
A major MP3 site this week.
A major outlet.
A major outlet this week. I'm just waiting on... As you can imagine, the minute that I loaded it up, it's like, who the fuck are you? And how are you the representative? And blah, 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 blah. It's been a fucking... I'll put it this way. What's today? The 19th, 18th?
18th.
I submitted this before Christmas.
Okay.
And all they have to do is say approved and poof, and it's on their website.
Right.
And we're still waiting.
Okay.
Fucking ridiculous.
So silly.
It is. Like, yeah, I'm going to steal that.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be hard to track.
Exactly. Well, what I find funny is that between you and I,
yeah,
we're the go-to guys when it involves Dokken.
And Fingers.
It's like
me, you, and Fingers.
It's like you guys handle it, okay?
Yeah.
It's like we're Johnny-come-latelys compared to your entire career.
Right. Fingers is the day-to-day, and we're the overseers.
Yeah, okay. You guys handle it.
Yep.
You know, I've got a 30-plus year career. You guys have been involved for the last 10 or 15. You guys handle it.
Yeah, you guys have been here long enough. Go deal with it.
Right.
I don't want to mix. I don't want to fucking track this. You guys do it.
Sure. You guys going to collect the money? Just make sure I get my cut, okay?
The fucking guy hands you a check for 5 figures. Wasn't that check for 5 figures?
Yeah.
He just handed it to you. Didn't know you from anybody.
Yeah, he didn't know me from Adam. Said, here's Don's payout.
Yeah, here's Don's pay for the gig.
Right. Here, you take care of it. Hey, Don, here's your money. Oh, okay, thanks.
No, Don wasn't even there.
And
the money. Don wasn't even in the room.
I know. And then last April, I was over in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
For 2 gigs.
Right.
And the promoter came up and paid him in cash.
Right.
And he just goes, give it to him. So this guy, so he hands me the money.
Right.
And in fact, you know what? I'll don't, you can post this if you want. I don't know if you can post this anywhere, but just don't say where it's from.
All right. What is it?
Just here. I'm going to send this to you.
Email it. Don't text.
Oh, don't text it?
Don't text it. I won't get it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's how I get my new phone.
Right. Let me email this over.
All right.
I was playing Pimp Daddy.
Okay.
Last year.
All right.
And you know, I was with Don for a couple of solo shows.
Yeah.
And the promoter came up and was going to pay him cash.
Okay.
And he just says to the promoter, just give it to him. Here,
nice.
I'm going to email it over to you.
All right.
Let's see here. Where is it? Chris Aiken. There it is. Aiken. There we are. I'm going to send this over.
All right. I'm looking for it right now.
Send.
You sent it from your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be 10 minutes before I get it.
No, it should go pretty quick.
Now, what am I going to be looking at here eventually?
It should just come over.
Not yet. It'll get here. There it is. What am I looking at here? Whoa.
That's a settlement for the night.
Just handed you the cash.
He did. He just handed me that whole roll of cash.
Do you want me to put that on the Facebook?
Well, don't say where it's from.
Say what it is. I'll just post it with no message.
Right. Just say, just rolling in the cash.
Really?
But that's that. So I just took a picture of it.
Right.
I was just like, really?
That's hilarious. God damn, that is a lot of money.
I know. It's like $6,000 in cash for one night.
Jeez, I need that kind of a gig.
I know. Just here's your cash.
Yeah.
Now go out there and entertain these people.
Yeah. Hilarious.
So funny.
My Facebook ad. I'm putting it up there right now. So the people that are listening live can know what this is.
You know what this is.
No one else is going to get to know.
But that's the funny part about it, is just that between you and I, and like you said, fingers.
Yeah.
Here, you guys take care of this.
Exactly. That's really how it works.
Yeah. No questions asked. No trust issues involved.
No.
Just you deal with it.
Well, he does know us pretty well at this point.
Well, that's true, but still, it's funny.
It is funny.
I mean, because, you know, it takes me all the way back to like 1983 or 84 as a kid in college.
Sure.
Watching MTV.
Right.
And seeing these videos on MTV, Dokken, you know, breaking the chains or,
sure,
you know, into the fire or whatever. And right. I go, you know what, this guy here, I'm watching this guy, he's going to let me just take his money.
I know, it's crazy.
You know what I mean? It never would have thought, you know, back when I was a kid in college, hey, you know what, I'm watching MTV here and see this guy on TV. down the road here, this guy is going to let me collect his money. It would have never even occurred to me.
Oh, of course not. Too fun.
It's so funny.
I know. I still remember the first time Don sent me a check for something. It was whatever the check was. I don't remember what it was, like $700-800 or whatever it was. And it had the Dokken logo on it.
Yeah.
And I was just I didn't even want to cash it.
It's Dokken Enterprises.
Yeah, but it has the Dokken logo.
Sure.
It's not just Dokken Enterprises written. It's the Dokken logo.
Yeah.
On the check. And I was like, man, I really don't want to fucking cash
Yeah,
this.
it's kind of cool in a way.
It was. But then I cashed it, of course.
Well, of course.
I'm going to take the money, please.
But I color photocopied mine.
Oh, I did.
I did. Just because it's cool.
It is cool
to see that on a check.
Yeah, but it's just as cool to see $800 in my account.
Well, I agree with that, but another guy who people never cash the check.
Yeah.
One of my childhood heroes was Evel Knievel, right?
Sure. Uh-huh.
Well, his checks were gold.
What do you mean they were gold?
They were gold colored.
Okay.
And there were a lot of people who never cashed the check because they just wanted to hang on to the check.
Okay.
Because it was a very cool check.
Right.
And it said Evel Knievel Enterprises or something, and the check itself was gold colored.
I guess it would just boil down to how much it was.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Right. Because it was like $20. Yeah. If it's $20, I'd hold on to that.
Sure.
It was $2,000. Fuck it.
Right.
Cashing that bitch.
Exactly.